Yo, what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back, welcoming you to the Friday night chop session with Stormybman for this Friday, February 26, 2021, the last Friday in the month of February for this year. We are glad to have you with us this evening, and we are calling this one Big Fish in a Small Pond. You know, we got these analogies here that we kick out, and we talk about things to a certain extent, and we expect a certain result out of what we speak on. So we got a blazing show for you this evening. And I want to say salute to the entire chat out there. Everybody that's decided to come along for the ride. Listen to what we have to say. Man, it's going to be a good one. We've got some great topics for you this evening. Let me see if I can get to you guys out here. We got Young World out there. Young World says, yo, salute Big Storm. Salute to the chat. Hashtag LDBC. We got C Wood out there. He says time to cook. Yes, sir. And shout out to Bruce Goes out there in that super chat. He says, salute, brother. Stormy B Man. Salute to you and thank you for the super chat, brother. Cletus Smith is out there. Says, salute. Big Texas in the building. Come on, Cletus. Come on. He says, what's popping and let's get it. And then we got Murr out there that says, salute OG Tone Brown, also saluting the OG Stormy B Man. Glad to see you guys out here this evening, man. I hope everybody's had not too much of a trying week. You know, we have had to deal a lot with difficulties as of late. So we're all out here and we're in this thing together, man. So we have to hold tight. It's nice that we have escapes like professional sports, boxing in particular, as we talk about it, you know, and be able to enjoy it, and just to break up the monotony of our everyday lives and difficulties, man. So it's nice to have some type of escape and safe haven. Smash that like button while you're out there, people. You know, I've trying to clean my glasses off here. I've been trying to think of various ways to present the shows to you all and how to feature content that is more palatable for you. Not just to be putting up something on the airwaves, just to be putting up something, but to try to give you something to take some type of solace in. And I think we've been doing a decent job of that, but I think we could also get better. You know, early in the inception of this channel, I had asked that people send emails to In the Eye of the Storm, where we could talk about various subjects, things that you might want to hear, you know, Stormy talk about on the platform. It's not that I run out of ideas, but I do like to have an ear to the ground to hear what the chat and the participants of the chat may be interested in. So that don't mean I'm going to get on here and get sleazy or nothing like that. It just means that there may be some subjects that I have not touched on yet, or content that I may have touched on that you may want me to go more deeper and in depth on. So that's what we'll be considering. My man Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens will be in and joining me shortly. He has to finish up with work and everything before he gets here with us, but we'll be looking to really kick things off once Reggie gets in the studio, because he's a huge part of what we're talking about this evening. But I hope everybody's been having, like I said, not too trying of a week. We've got some fights on the horizon this evening. Someone told me that the Joseph Parker fight is in the wee hours of the morning, Western time over here on this side of the pond. So, if that be the case, let me just say that I might try to stay up. I've got some things to do early tomorrow. And then we also have In the Eye of the Storm Part 2 with Blue Blood Sports TV tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. Central. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to catch these guys, but since they're on the zone, I'm sure I'll be able to catch the replay if I am not able to tune in to it live. Michael Johnson, Boxing Talking More, is out there, says, what it do? Can only listen for a little bit, but I did click the like button. Thank you for that, brother. And you guys always come and check Stormy out for a couple of minutes, and then y'all drift off over there to them naked channels and stuff like that with X-rated content. It's not like my boxing talk can hold you down, but you pervs gotta understand, save something in the tank, man. Don't let it all out at one time. You know what I mean? Stick around sometimes. You might learn something over here with Stormy B. You know what I mean? But anyway, like I said, this fight will be on in the wee hours of the morning. So it's a full card featuring a number of fighters that are from that New Zealand part of the world. So if there may be some guys you haven't had a chance to see or hear, and it may be very interesting. So, hey, man, if you're able to catch it and watch the full card, or if you catch the replay, like I said, it may prove entertaining. These two men have something to prove to one another, because the winner of this bout may propel themselves into contention for one of those titles that Anthony Joshua is anxiously waiting to drop, because he ain't trying to face anybody. So just think about it in terms of that. You might be looking at a future contestant and contender for one of those belts that AJ will be vacating. So Bruce Gold says 4:30 a.m. Eastern. I don't know, but probably yes. Yeah, that's pretty doggone early. That's about the time I'll be getting up for work on a regular work day, man. I don't want to get up on my day off at that time. You know what I'm saying? But maybe if I take it down early tonight, I could get up and check out some of that. But I don't know, man. I don't know. If it was like, Wilder versus AJ or something like that, I could force myself. But with these two dudes, it might be a pie eating contest. I don't know. They got to prove it, right? They got to prove themselves. This is what we want to see. We want to see them do something. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we got Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens out there in the chat right now. He says, salute my people. Eric R. is like, ooh. Young World is laughing. And Mr. Pac-Man is out there, says, salute to you, brother. Salute to you. So, yeah, we're looking, And as a reminder, not only do we have that fight coming up this weekend, but also Sunday night, we got Anthony Durrell versus Kieron Davis, or Kieron Davis. And they're going to be on Fox, PBC. And as you can see here, Durrell now has a record of 33-2-1 with 24 KOs. And Mr. Davis has a record of 15-2 with only 6 KOs. So I don't know if the 6 KOs is something because he's been in tough, because I don't know a lot about Mr. Davis, or if he doesn't have much pop on his punches. But we're going to find out. And Mr. Durrell has to be careful. he had a very nasty cut opened up over his eye in his fight against David Benavidez. So he's got to watch out for that scar tissue, man, because once you have a severe cut like what he had, sometimes a bump of the heads or a punch landed precisely, and it can open that up all again. So we'll be watching out to see what happens there with Mr. Durrell. And then from there, roughly around the same time as boxing has been known to do, we'll have the Canelo Yildirim fight. And that fight is taking place over on the DAZN app as well. And we'll see what's happening. I think this fight is at in Miami, I was told. But we'll find out if Mr. Canelo is going to live up to those huge odds that he's found set for himself, or will Mr. Yildirim try to become Rocky and take it all away from him? We got a couple more people that's joined us there in the chat. We got the Underrated Darkness out there. It says, Stormybman, salute to you. Salute to you, my brother, Underrated Darkness. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out Underrated Darkness and his channel, Michael Johnson Boxing Talk and More, and his channel, please do so. Go subscribe to the brothers. They all are a part of the community, and we are all linked up. That's the thing to do. Show that support for the brothers out there. Eric R. says, man, no undisputed for heavyweight. No, there's not going to be an undisputed. There's not going to be. The powers that be don't want it to be undisputed for heavyweight. I thought you guys realized that already, because when you see every time these fighters in the divisions get close to unification, what happens? Somebody starts acting funny. Somebody starts acting like, you know, it's not important, entertaining doing something else. And that's because no one really wants it except for a few of us fans. The sanctioning bodies don't want it. The fighters don't want it. You have to think about it like this. When you're undisputed, each one of those sanctioning bodies are taking a cut out of your pay. So do you really want that? Do you really want to be paying all of those sanctioning fees, you know, to 3, 4, 5 in some cases, sanctioning bodies when you defend your title? Or the more you defend them a year, the more of those fees that come out, depending on whose belt you're defending. That is something that people don't think about very much, but it is there. It's definitely a factor. And with the way that they're doing things now, it's like you can only, you know, hope that someone becomes undisputed and then drops the belts. But we haven't even had them come together in a sense for, you know, total unification yet. So I don't foresee it. I really don't foresee it, especially in the heavyweight division where there are less competitors vying for the titles, and it's like we're still no closer to having undisputed in that division than we were like 3 years ago. So just think about it like that. It's a shame, because boxing could do so much better than what they are currently, and these guys just don't want to do it, man. They don't want to become undisputed. Their promoters don't want them to be undisputed. And just think about it. Sanctioning bodies creating new belts every day. I mean, look at me. I put up there today, I got my Black Lives Matter belt on the floor there. As you can see, the WBC made that belt for Mike Tyson and Roy Jones when they put on their exhibition. So I thought I would take it as a trinket and trophy and keep it here in the Friday Night Chop Session studios. But I put it down there on the floor. The belt had been away for a while, but I brought it back, you know, just for entertainment's sake, you know, have something there as another little balm you know, in the studio. So that's what that's all about. We got a few more people out here. Who we got? Big homie Coop is out there. He says, salute Shifu and back smack that like button. He says, class in session, pay attention. Thank you for that, big homie Coop. Michael Johnson, Boxer Talking More, says, thanks for the plug, Stormybman. Oh, you know, man, Stormybman is even-handed when it comes to those kind of things, bro. You brothers are every bit as essential out here as anyone else, man. You know, because people like what they like, you know. And when you talk about everything that happens out here in the boxing community, the LDBC, and it's like a smorgasbord, a buffet. You know, some of you guys are turkeys, and some of you guys are chickens. Some of you guys are beef, Some of you guys are tofu, But people can pick what they like. Some of you guys are green as a salad, and some of you are rotten as a tomato. But all of you make up what's a part of the community, and people can dine as they please. Just don't leave the plate bare. Got to put something on it, Some of you are full of it, just like yeast and bread, So just think about it like that. Tone Brown says, these two have a lot of history. They fought each other in the amateurs a couple of times. Very interested to see who can make the adjustments. Talking about Mr. Yildirim and Canelo. We'll see, man. We will see. You know, we will see what happens. Oh, you talking about Fa and Parker. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. You know, because I'll tell you something. In the heavyweight division, anything can happen, man. One hit on the chin, and guys start doing the little crazy leg thing, and you never know. Who else we got? He'd say, Eric R. says, Thriller gonna make the purse bid franchise title for Teofimo. He very well may. You know what I mean? Very well made. That Triller thing, we're going to talk about that. We're going to wait for Reggie to get in here to talk about that, because Reggie has some particular angles and thoughts on that. So that's what we're going to do, you know, talk about that. Let's see who else we got out here. Thrill Hill has joined us. And Big homie Coop says, T.O. making millennials look real smart with this move. Yeah, but you can always get lucky in a game of chess, Big homie Coop. You know, sometimes when you're playing and somebody is fatigued or they're disinterested, you can make a move and pull one on them. But to become a master chess player, you need to do a little bit more than what Mr. T.O. did. He may be okay for right now, but he needs to be on the lookout for what's ahead. He really does. And I think we're already seeing signs of what could be ahead for him with some of the decisions that he made. We'll find out, though. We will find out. So Bruce Goes is laughing, and everybody else is saluting one another. Yeah, man, we're going to find out what's going on. I wanted to take a time out based on something that transpired recently. I'm trying to get my thoughts together here. We had last weekend some pretty darn good fights, man. We had that Valdez fight where Oscar Valdez and Miguel Berchelt fought, and it turned out to be quite a good fight. Mr. Valdez stopping Miguel Berchelt was something that nobody saw coming, by the way. Think about it. That fight Going in, Burchelt was being favored to be a little stronger, a little more seasoned. Valdez may have been a risk taker or whatever, but he fought a disciplined boxing match against a Miguel Burchelt that was not able to make adjustments. And in that instance, found himself getting caught up and knocked out. That's the end of it right there. And that was a great performance, by the way, by Oscar Valdez. Curtis Price is out there. He says, Stormybman, why do they call Chicago the Windy City? Why don't you bring yourself here, Curtis Price, and you will find out for yourself, man. Because you step out there on one of these breezy days, particularly at this time of year, and I'll tell you something. That hawk out there, they call the wind the hawk. Because when they get a hold of you, it be having you pull your coat up on yourself and pull your hat down on your head and everything. That wind will, if you walking down the street, that wind will make you walk 10 to 20 paces faster. Huh? You get up out of there, you be trying to get back inside. And everybody say the same thing when they come in from outside. If it's not a curse word, it's whew. Huh? That's what they say. It's universal. Huh? So bring yourself on in here to the Windy City. You'll find out why they call it that, and you'll happily go right back to where you at, because obviously y'all ain't got no breezes out there where you at. And I say it's a breeze because I've been living here all my life. But I'm going to tell you something about that hawk here in Chicago, man. It ain't for the faint of heart, I'll tell you that. You might think it's a tornado brewing or something if you ain't experienced it before. We got some more people out there in the chat. Big Homie Coop says, Bob said the chickens are coming home. Okay, Big Homie Coop, I hear that, right? Curtis Price, he says also, Curtis Price, you have to put Crisco on your face in the morning to stop your face from freezing in Chicago. Listen to the man. He know of which he speaks. Young World is laughing. And Terry Smoot Jr. is out there. He wrote something but retracted it. And then he says, Stormy B, man, salute King. How are you doing, sir? Doing pretty good tonight, man. Glad to be on here with you guys and chopping it up for another Friday night chop session. This is number 99. I think I said that early in the broadcast. Number 99. Almost had 100 of them things. And the only reason I ain't over 100 is because Stormy has taken a couple of breaks here and there where I didn't do a show, just so I could rest and recharge the batteries, like I'll be doing very soon again, because you don't want to burn yourself out. Some of these guys, you can't take the mic away from their face. I like to rest, calm down, go watch some of my movies, you know what I mean? Enjoy myself, relax, eat, and get ready for you another time. But some of these dudes, they forget to eat. They over here starving, losing weight. Oh, I got to do another live. I got to be on the mic. Man, it's an addiction for some people. Yes, sir. What else we got out here? Eric R. says, man, you got to have coats mode in Chicago. Come out of there with your own coat. He said, come out of here with your own coat if you want to. Yeah, that's right, man. You better have a coat on. And I ain't talking about no jacket, no sweater, No, you got to have a coat in Chicago, man. And them coats, the bigger and heavier the coat, the better it is for you, you know. Because when you out there and you cold, and we got that thing called wind chill factor, man, wind chill factor will change your life, bro. It will change your life. Some other places, they just have some cold, cool, chill. No, that's in the autumn for us. That's like September and October. Cold, cool, chill, right? Wintertime, January, February in the Chi, it's freezing huh? The thing say 0 or sub-zero. Now, we've had it mild this year, but let me just tell you about it, huh? It be cold, man. You step out there on what we call black ice. That's when the ground is frozen, but you can't see the ice on the ground. It's that cold. And you step out there with some of them old cheap Payless shoes and see what happened. You be done broke all kind of bones sitting up in the hospital and the thing going beep, 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 calling people up. Hey, man, can you bring my phone so I could watch Stormybman? That's right. Sitting up in there. So I'm trying to, a chat just jumped on me. Eric R says, I read that one. Thrill Hill says, Burchell having nightmares seeing left hooks. Man, let me tell you something. Burchell had an out-of-body experience, man. Something similar to what what's his name? Dominic Brazil had when he fought Deontay Wilder. That punch that slept Miguel Burchell, man, I thought he killed the guy. I really do. Valdez hit him so hard, man. We call that, from watching Kung Fu movies, the blow of death. Huh? He hit that boy so hard, man, I felt for his family because they was sitting around there crying and everything, man. But I'm glad he's still alive. Yes, sir. Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens says, that Hawk, a.k.a. Cold Breeze. Man, cold freeze, Reggie, not breeze. Huh? A breeze is like, somebody blow on you like that. That hawk don't blow on you. That hawk turns you into an ice cube. That's what it does. Shoot, man. Bruce Gold says, I feel you, bro. We got some bone chillers in New England, bro. I bet you do. I remember a couple of years ago in New England, y'all had all that snow. The football stadiums and stuff was like, they was asking people to bring snow blowers to clear the stadium out, man. It was crazy, bro. That was absolutely crazy. Big Homie Coop says, I pray for Cali weather. Man, you should. You should pray for some Cali weather and send some of those prayers this way, too. That's what I say. Eric R. says, I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I'll call myself making a snowball one time. Damn near got my hand amputated. Yeah, man. It ain't nothing to play with, bro. It ain't nothing to play with. People who live in warm climates, y'all got it good. Now, I ain't saying I want to trade, because I don't know how I'll respond to earthquakes or typhoons or Category 3 storms and stuff like that, or worse. But if all we got is wind chill here in the shot, I'm cool because I can rub some sticks together and make a fire. You know what I'm saying? But when y'all out there and you got buildings falling from earthquakes and stuff, I don't know what to do. The ground gonna open up and swallow you and all of that, man. That's tsunamis coming in. I'm cool right here. I'm, just give me some thermals and some of them, polar mitts, and I'm good. I'm straight. You know what I mean? And it's only gonna last 5 or 6 months, but I don't want that other stuff, that stuff that man can't control. I was hearing those people in Florida talking about we got another hurricane coming and they got to board their windows up and stuff, man. I'm like, and it's always somebody. I seen this on the news. They got hurricanes coming in. Everything, everything is sideways like this because the winds are so high from the hurricane. And it's a fool out there trying to walk a dog in the hurricane. And they help, and they gotta send somebody out there to help this fool. They had already given you the heads up. The dog can pee in the corner or something. You out there walking the dog in the hurricane, putting other people's life at risk because they gotta come and save you. Man, that's crazy, man. These people be out here doing some stupid stuff, man. They be doing some stupid stuff, man. My man Kano Local Sports is out there. Go subscribe to Kano Local Sports. That's my brother right there. Borica Power. Kano Local Sports got a great channel, man. Does some good stuff over there. IGM Tim is out there, says, "Win be cutting like a knife." Yes, it does, man. It'll slice you all up and down. It did not tell you to put a coat on. You be like out there, like, oh, shoot, let me get him out of here. You know, that Hulk is something, man. Big homie Coop is laughing out loud. Eric R. says, Chicago weather is different. Yep. Here we have summer and winter. That's it. We don't have spring. We don't have fall. None of that. We got summer and winter. Because one day it'll be 13 below, and then the next day it's 60 degrees and the temperature goes up from that. It's like that's the change in the season. And you know, that's it in a nutshell. Bruce Goes is laughing. Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens out there says, "We have it damn good on the West." Yeah, Reggie, till them earthquakes start coming. Man, I'll be nervous, man, when the earthquake come. I don't know what to do. I'll be like, you know, is it always like this? Y'all be up there, you know, stuff be shaking and moving around, and you just be drinking your drink and eating your food like, oh, you know, I'll be hiding under tables and stuff. Like, man, when is gonna stop? And one day, y'all gonna get the big one. You know, you just don't know when it's gonna be. You know what I mean? Now here, the big one for us is minus 78 or minus 80 wind chill factor. That's when one time back in, what was that? 93, we had wind chill factors. They started at minus 45 degrees, and then it went higher and higher as far as the low, you know, 83 below zero. Man, the power cable on my battery on my car, because I had an older car, that sucker, I went out there to try to start my car, man. That battery cable, when that charge went through it, the battery cable snapped. It was so cold. Man, that's crazy. That is crazy. But that's how we get here, man. That's how we get. Let's see who we get. Big Homie Coop says, "I can live without earthquakes and tornadoes." Yeah. Bruce Gold says, "Different today, February, and it was 50 and sunny, not normal." Yeah, man, for February, come on, man. Come on. You know of which you speak, Bruce Gold. You old enough to know what the weather is supposed to be like? Yeah. IGM Tim says, "Yeah, those hurricanes give you anxiety too, watching them." Yeah, man, on the news, man. See, that's why I don't even tune in, man. I don't watch them no more. I can gauge the weather by, like, I could look outside and be like, peep my head out the door, be like, okay, it's pretty cold. I know what to put on, how many layers and everything. I don't listen to the weather, man, because I just dress to be warm and I can step on out there. But you know, these weathermen, how can you just be wrong every day on your job and still have a job? I mean, that's one of the best jobs to have as a weatherman. Today is going to be sunny with a high of 84, and it's 45 degrees, and people outside, man, the weatherman lied. I'm telling you. But we got my man Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens in the studio. He's finally joined us. What's going on with you, Reggie? How you doing, man? You there, Reggie? You're on mute if you're there. I can't hear you, bro. You might have to go out and come back in. Yeah, buddy. This weather, I'm telling you, man, it's something to deal with. Big time. Big time. I don't know if Reggie can hear me or not. Reggie, you might have to go out and come back in, bro. Let's see. Unless he's not near his mic. Yo. Yeah, you there, Reggie?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Were you away from your mic? Because I was talking to you and I couldn't hear you, so I thought you.
I had to restart. That sound wasn't coming through.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Well, I hear you fine now. Everything's good. What's going on with you?
Oh man, nothing, was up here rolling, laughing at hearing everybody talk about their weather in their states.
I know, right? It's like, man, see, you've been here, so you know what it's like, right? But some of these people think we be playing in the shot, man. Ain't got no time to be playing. Man, this weather here will mess you around if you ain't, if you don't know how to dress for it. Tell them.
Oh yeah, on the real, it ain't no joke, man. It definitely ain't no joke. And me coming from California, I couldn't deal with it. I was happy when we left.
Yeah, man, this weather is something else. And the funny thing is this: if you've been here all your life, it's like you get used to it to the stink. Not like, oh, it's fine, it don't bother me. Yeah, it's still cold as freak, but it's like you adjust by you know what to put on, you know how to put on layers and stuff like that. But if you stopping over, man, say like you coming from Florida and you going to California and you happen to stop off in Milwaukee or Chicago or something like that, Minnesota, man, you're going to be like, when the plane leaving, we need to get up out of here ASAP. The weather ain't no joke, bro. Not in this Midwest.
Heck no, man. That's why I love it out here on the West. But out here in Vegas, the only thing I got to deal with is this brutal summers. But I done adjusted to that. But that's the thing about being human, man. You adapt to everything if you're there long enough.
And you know what's funny too here? I just experienced this a few days ago because we've been getting all this snow, right? Now, it haven't really snowed in like a week and a half, which is fine by me. And it seems ironic, as soon as I got my snowblower fixed and running properly, the snow stopped. So, yeah, I'm saying it. But anyway, we were having like temperatures hanging around 12 degrees, like that, right? Man, Reggie, it went up to like 32, right? Now, after days of it hanging around 12 and 10 and 8 degrees, when it went up to 32, it felt like 50 degrees outside because we had so many days of those cold below, freezing temperatures that when it went up to like 30, it was balmy. You could go outside with a jacket on, and you run into your car or something like that or whatever. It's like, it's not a big deal. It's funny how that works because like you said, your body adjusts. Because once it's like freezing, and that's a threshold that your body recognizes, shoot, it's cold. Then it becomes, like when it goes up above that, it's like, oh, this ain't so bad. Man, 30 degrees is still freezing. But for it to rise up like that and people to feel good, I'm telling you, it's something else, bro. It's something else. Bruce Gold says, I've been snowed in and had to evacuate because of hurricane. Wow. Kinda Local says, I'm in the good part of Florida, laugh out loud. And they vacation to come here when there's hurricanes. Let me tell you something, Kano. You can say that all you want to. Ain't no such thing as a good part of Florida. All y'all crazy down there in Florida, man. I don't know what's in the water, but people in Florida, man, they are the most. It's like y'all don't abide by rules or nothing. You just do your own thing in Florida. It's like, what's up with that, man? What's up with that? We're Florida people. Every time you see something jacked up on the news, they say, in Florida. Yeah, it's like, oh, here we go. Yeah, I'm telling the truth. Ain't you heard that, Reggie?
Yeah, it's that swamp in the water. Now, I was going to school in Florida, Embry-Riddle Aeronautics School in Daytona Beach. I ended up having to leave, man. Because they was having us evacuate. They had three. Forgot what hurricane system, but they had like 3 hurricanes back to back. And I ended up not going back because they ended up having these extended campuses throughout the U.S. So I ended up finishing my degree at one of the extended campuses.
Man,
but
that's crazy.
I couldn't deal with that Florida.
That is crazy, man. And then they be trying to get you to eat that alligator meat. Where Trap House Boxing at and Blood Boxing? Them dudes be talking about them gators, man. I told them I ain't eating no Godzilla meat. I ain't eating it. You understand? That it just something ain't right about that, man. Them things look like miniature Godzillas to me. Them crocodiles and alligators. Them was dinosaurs years ago, man. I ain't eating them things. And they'll eat you. If you get in that water and don't know they in there, man, it's over for you. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I don't eat no foods out the South.
Yeah, man, and they be talking about gator. Gator is good. Man, no, bro. But let me get through these last couple of comments here. Thrill Hill says, I was saying that to my sister today, how your weather fluctuates. She's in Oak Park. Okay, yeah, that's not far from me at all. Oak Park is just about a mile and a half away from me. Eric R. says, weatherman and Bulls GMs are the safest jobs in Chicago. Yeah, you're about right about that. Them GMs, man, they ain't gonna never fire a GM in Chicago. Never. They'll get rid of coaches. They'll get rid of players. But the GM ain't going nowhere. Kano is laughing. Big homie Coop says, Stormybman, you're right. The snow affects the light and the heat from the sun. Yep. SB Stay Sharp is out there. He says, true, OG. Florida is pirate-like. Yeah, there you go. That's a perfect term. Pirate-like. That's what they are up in there in Florida, man. IGM Tim is out there laughing. Big homie Coop is cracking up as well. Taylor Bell says, craziest people. He says, craziest people in the world come from the Bronx and all of Florida. SB Stay Sharp says, salute to the chat and Reggie Owens. LeVar Cooper is out there. He says, salute Reggie. Bruce Gold says, all the old people everywhere in Florida, crazy or old and dying. Renee Box Young says, Stormy OG, what's good with you, Renee Box Young? If you guys haven't subscribed to Renee Box Young, check out Renee Box Young. He's got a great upcoming channel as well out there. IGM Tim says, Gator. Jersey is good, though. Yeah, not the meat. I ain't touching that meat, man. Y'all can have that. Forget that. I ain't messing with it. And let's see. Renee Box Young says, I don't eat no freaking reptile, man. That's right, man. That's right. You know, something ain't right about that. Big homie Coop says, I ain't eating no Godzilla meat quote of the evening. Yeah, that's what I told Trap House a long time ago. Him and Blood. I ain't eating no Godzilla meat. Forget that. Y'all can feast away. But yeah, I got through those comments, Reggie. We could go ahead and start cooking now, man. On what we were saying that we were gonna, talk about on the show. Taylor Bell is asking, Stormy B, your super chat isn't working? Yeah, it works, but it doesn't chime. You can leave a super chat, but it just doesn't chime. You know, I don't know what's up with that, but that, you know, I've been trying to figure that out for a few weeks now. It stopped working almost a month ago as far as the chime, but you can still leave a super chat. Somebody left a super chat earlier in the show, so you can still leave one. It's just not going to leave that message, you know. So, but yeah. So Reggie, what's one of the topics you want to go ahead and get into early while we got a chance to get to cooking on it?
Yes, sir, man. I want to get into this Top Rank versus Tio.
Yeah. Now that I want you to go ahead and open up, and we can start cooking on that, man. It's like this whole thing with Top Rank and Teofimo, Bob Arum. I mean, it's not a pretty thing, man. It's like it's been the hottest topic of the past couple of days. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this thing?
I gotta first off say salute to T.O., his father, to Thriller, and to Eddie Hearn for even stepping in the fray of it, because it's opened a lot of things that has always been warned people about what Top Rank is, and everybody kind of goes over and ignore the historical facts that are what is Bob Arum and towards what fighters mean to him. Your thing is to go up and almost do what that is, just shut up and dribble type of deal, is the order of operations when it comes to what Bob Arum expects from a fighter. And for the fact, like when he came out with it, because I was like, Teofimo and them screwed themselves up, because I was like, Bob Arum about to come after him for the video that captured him asking for the $10 million from Eddie Hearns to get him to fight. I'm like, Eddie Hearns probably gonna go back and report that. I'm like, Tio and him screwed up. He asking for this money. Bob saying this fight ain't worth it. It's not looking good for this kid. But then seeing Tio constantly making these plays in front of our eyes, and we just like, damn, this annoying kid. Like, just avoid this fight and go take the Devin Haney fight. You'll get the money. This kid constantly being at those fights in the bubble. Fights had nothing to do with him. Showing up the Comey fight, being in front of the cameras. They put a camera in front of his face. He immediately starts recognizing, doing all this name dropping of ESPN executives. This him trying to sell the fight to these executives. And these ESPN executives relying on Bob Arum coming back to him and saying this fight ain't worth it, blah, blah, blah. So then he goes to another fight. I think the Valdez fight he shows up to. He gets in front of the cameras doing the same thing too. And then the next thing I know, I'm thinking like he's reaching out to Disney executives. He's walking around with the Walt Disney sweater on. And I'm like, this dude is really going around Bob Arum's head. He's moving beyond Bob Arum to get his money, get what he wants and what he feels that he's worth, and he's demanding it. Either way, he ain't taking no for an answer. He ain't taking Bob Arum's lowball offer as what he wants from the fight. He's going above and beyond. He's going directly to Bob Bosses. Then he sat in that one interview with the other commentator dude that be on there talking with Andre Ward and them, and he's up there during the interview name dropping all of these Disney or ESPN executive like board members or whoever the heck they are. I'm like, this kid is just doing the most. And I'm like, they gotta rub Bob Arum the wrong way. But when Bob Arum released his statements about what Teofimo did, even though he keeps saying it's not illegal what he did, so it's not illegal, so why are you making these statements, Bob? Because the fact that a fighter is out here thinking on his own and trying to do his own dealings on his own because he has a promoter that refuses to give him what is his share of what a promoter is going to end up bringing in as far as revenue. And Bob was like, well, it's going to cost him, being that the fact that the fighter and his opponent tried to work together to find the most money they can make. I was like, man, here we go again with Bob talking about fighters trying to get the most money for themselves, and there's a problem with that. But then to watch when this thing went to purse bid, and he's like, he doesn't expect Bob Arum, I think he's on Fred's show. He doesn't expect Eddie Hearn to negotiate on it. He's like, that's not something that we do. So I'm like, that's a problem there. So you send these fighters a purse bid to keep these lowball offers for them, and to almost sell it as if nobody else is interested in these dang fights, because originally he had lost that Better Biev purse bid as well. He didn't want to give Better Biev more money on his fight until that Chinese guy brought it, and the only reason why Bob Arum got the fight back. But notice, we ain't seen Better Biev back in that ring. Better Biev been acting like he has injuries, but when the billionaire brought the fight for, I think it was almost some millions more than what Bob Arum had offered for the fight. But the only reason why I didn't take it, because Better Biev, standing on morals and principles about the genocide going over in China, he refused to fight in China. But back to this Teofimo thing, is Bob Arum is stating no other promoter can come in and bid on something. This is the open market. This is an auction for a fight. So you telling everybody else, based on your influence, they can't touch your fight because you refuse to find the most money for your fighter. And Eddie Hearn said, this kid is hot. This kid would be a hot fight to have on our damn platform, which is struggling. And Bob Arum's going to tell me what I can't do. Eddie Hearn said, forget that. And he threw $1 million on top of it. And then you had Thriller, who's seen the significance of how much this fight can help with their platform. Being this is a young, exciting fighter who's getting people up out of the ring. He's stopping guys. He's defeated one of the top-rated champions who Bob Arum sold off as the next greatest thing since Muhammad Ali and all this other drawn-up crap that Bob Arum spoke of, and made himself look like a fool again. And now this young fighter made Bob Arum look like a fool with putting out such type words in the boxing universe. So now they deal with this one to where now Bob Arum's been slighted by Eddie Hearn, but this is business, Bob. What are you pissed off about? For you to tell this fighter, because Bob Arum's dealing with to where people are going against his wishes of not negotiating against him, and also the fact that now this fighter has received additional value coming from Eddie Hearn, and then now this Thriller comes in and adds triple the value to what you was willing to give him with the $6 million offer for this dang event. And that really stomped on Eddie Hearn. I mean, not on Eddie Hearn, but Bob Arum. And Eddie Hearn has stomped on Bob Arum. But for Bob Arum to come out and boast and brag, well, I got the easiest $800,000 I ever earned. Like, how? That's the problem right there. How the heck are these promoters getting 20% of these fighters' money for doing absolutely nothing? I think if a fight goes a purse bid, a promoter shouldn't touch nothing but 5%. A fighter shouldn't be able to touch any of these dudes' money when they ain't doing nothing. And especially if it's a promoter telling the fighter he ain't worth this and that, there's no way the law should allow a promoter to take 20% and for a promoter to get out there and brag about it, and then come right behind that and tell the fighter, well, he's going to have, threatening the fighter, well, we're going to see how things work out for him if he is to win this fight. And basically Bob Arum once again saying that he's about to shelf this dude. And with Bob Arum making that a public statement, and if Teofimo's career begins to go that way, Teofimo has an open lawsuit against Bob Arum. And it's one that played out in the public. His statements are there, and his actions are backing his statements. And therefore, Teofimo may earn himself some additional money out of the pockets of Top Rank. And even Teofimo making his statements and opening up about Todd LaBeouf. Somebody else I heard speak recently about the scandalous behaviors of Todd LaBeouf. I'm going to think of it as you go about who's. Matter of fact, it was Mikey Garcia who made those statements about Todd LaBeouf lying about his demands when he said he never spoke to the dude about money. So they're doing some scandalous ish over there when it comes to these fighters. But go ahead, OG.
No, you're raising some great issues there, especially with the unethical behavior of Top Rank and Bob Arum. We've watched Bob Arum over the past, let's just say, 6 to 10 months, openly criticize and try to destroy fighters' careers. We heard what he had to say about Bud Crawford. At the beginning of that, I felt like initially I'm like, oh, he just, throwing Bud down because, you know, he's allowing his biasness to show through the forefront, which that was a part of it, but it wasn't the main part of it. The main part of it is the disrespect that Arum and Top Rank has for fighters, period. And the fact that they feel like they write they write the narrative of the fighter's career. And if they decide that they want to get behind someone, a la Vasily Lomachenko, they can do what they can whenever it calls for it. But the thing that happened and failed tremendously with Lomachenko was that nobody cared about him. Nobody cares who Lomachenko was or whatever. But with him being, you know, a Caucasian fighter, they readily did that, and they threw that money and they threw that promotion behind him like that. We saw them do it for Tyson Fury. Now, I found this interesting, Reggie. You remember Bob's statements about Bud, right? When he talked about, I could have bought a house in Beverly Hills with the money I've lost on him, right?
Right.
We have never heard Bob openly say about how much money he lost on Tyson Fury after signing him over, and when Fury fought those 2 fights under his promotion, and they had to give away comps for one of the fights because they couldn't even fill 5,000 seats. Remember that?
Yup, right here in Vegas.
Yeah, and he never talked about Fury like that. He never talked about, you know, he could have bought a house in Beverly Hills with the money he lost on Fury. And he signed Fury away from a done deal with Wilder, where Wilder and Fury were engaged in their own thing. And he comes in there and kind of steals Fury off of the table to do something ridiculous. And then also had him on TV in America with this Apollo Creed get up and everything, which I found it disgusting. And I despised it. And it was like, you know, when it happened, we didn't talk a great deal about it, but I said a couple of things and just left that alone. But when you see what he did in that instance, and then before that, or it was either vice versa, it was either before or after the Mexican thing, right? When he came out and the WBC said they were giving him some kind of Mayan belt. Do you remember that?
Yup, him and Otto Wallen.
Yeah. So all of this stuff was going on and nobody raised the eyebrow, Reggie. And the guy was bleeding money out of his behind over this because nobody gave a darn about Tyson Fury. So why is he treating these so-called, I don't like to use these words, why is he treating these so-called minority fighters so disgustingly and treating them as if they don't deserve, because that's what it is in his mind, they don't deserve fair play. They don't deserve money being invested in them. They don't deserve to be promoted because he don't lift a darn finger to promote these guys. And you see it, it is as blatant as looking at the wall in front of you. And nobody says anything. So I'm like, when are people going to wake up and start calling it for what it is? As fans of the sport, you don't even benefit in any way off of this. You might as well just tell the darn truth about what's happening. And then, because of that documentary that came out recently over there about MTK and everything, we find out that Bob is goody-goody with the baddies. Huh? Don't this stink? It's like, what are people looking at? He's in bed with these people. And the so-called minority fighters are not being promoted, are not being supported, are not being giving proper leeway to their channel, you know, as far as their path in their careers. And then he's sitting up there threatening to tell, we'll just see, you know, we'll put him on the shelf. That reminds me of the comment that he made about Crawford. What was it, a little over a year ago, when he said that Crawford, after re-upping with him, was like, oh, he's going to be with us till the day he dies. Or something like that, he said to that effect. This is a lifetime deal or something. He'll end his career with us or something he said that was real disrespectful. And he didn't say it like, yeah, we got him locked down. Like in the NBA, they sign a guy to a long extended contract or something. They say, yeah, he can finish his career with us or whatever. That's not what he was saying. He was basically saying, I got this noose around his neck and he ain't going nowhere. That's how he was saying it. I mean, what are your thoughts, Rich?
No, I agree with you absolutely. I was looking for this video I had, man, when it comes to like where you talk about where people don't pay attention, man, and everything is out there. And I wish, even like thinking about this disrespect towards these fighters over in that company, is the level of disrespect that was shown to Shakur. This is the fight before he fought his girlfriend's brother. Can't remember who he was fighting at this time. And they're doing kind of a on stage. All the fighters for this event are put on stage. And now when they're doing the introduction of every fighter, Shakur is almost ignored through the whole event, because Shakur is also talking about, this is around the time where Shakur was having his kind of complaints, being with, seeing all his other counterparts rise in recognition within the sport. And he's kind of the only one of these guys who is an Olympian and not being respected as an Olympian and being kind of placed in the shadows of everything. So when he's doing this event for a build-up of his fight, they're introducing all these dang fighters coming to the stage. Shakur is overshadowed. He's almost introduced at the back end with nothing being presented about him like they did these other fighters that came up. So it was around, don't know if it was a playoffs. It had something to do with football. And I think this is Tyler Buff and him on the stage. And they got to talking about football. This is how much they was ignoring even building Shakur up to the audience that was anticipating this build-up. Because they draw a big build-up, but it was more focused on these other fighters who are coming out. And none of these fighters are even talked about to this day, who they put ahead of Shakur on that day. So when they're talking about they were talking about football, and Shakur made a statement like, no, I like this team. And the guy, Tyler Buff dude, told Shakur, he's like, I told you, watch it. We write the checks around here, to hush Shakur up. And I looked like, what the... Man, I went off on that one, Stormy. And I had my video on my old channel, which I wish I would have uploaded to this backup channel I got now, just to hear that, because nobody really reported on that. But this is the way they disrespected this young dude, by telling him basically to shut up, don't give no opinions, because Shakur was kind of giving a rebuttal to what the dude from Top Rank was saying about a football team. He's like, no, I like this team. I think, but he's like, hey, watch it, buddy. We write the checks around here. And hush Shakur up that way. I said, man, these dudes are some effed up dudes, and I wish he would have signed over to PBC. I know he didn't want to sign with Floyd, but he made a mistake going over here to Bob. Nothing changes with the spots on leopards, man, and that's what they are, man. And they have no respect when it comes to non-white fighters that are over in that company.
Yeah, this is ridiculous, man. And to talk about it even at length, when we've seen him come on channels, right? He's been on several channels and in interview with people. He's always very condescending. He's always talking about the game, meaning the sport of boxing, with whoever's channel he's on. He talks down to them as if they don't have a clue about how boxing is run or whatever. And then he blatantly lies about everything. And he's the man who, in this sport, mentioned the phrase, yesterday I was lying, today I'm telling you the truth. You understand? It's like, this is who you're dealing with. Someone like that can kick rocks. Okay? And this is the thing. He's not welcome here. I don't want him on my channel. I don't want him on my platform talking about nothing. Okay? Because he don't respect me. He don't respect my people. He don't respect the people I support who participate in the sport, who are active in their careers in the sport. And I totally despise the man. You know, he throws nickels around like they manhole covers. Okay, so this is a person who don't have respect. And how did it happen that it was leaked out that they have officially on their board in their offices NBF? Huh? NBF, Reggie. And to have that as a mantra for their promotional group, it speaks volumes about how they see us, meaning the boxing public, and how they see the fighters that they have under their promotional group, and the fighters that the fighters which are under their promotional group, the fighters who they would fight opposing across the ring. This cannot go. This cannot be allowed to just be something. It can't be a thing. It has to cease, and we detest. Okay? Because it's improper. Improper. It's unethical. NBF, Reggie. NBF. Every time he opens his mouth, every time somebody says something to him, the first and last thing they should say to him is, who came up with this NBF and why do you support it and stand for that? Why don't you throw that out? Huh? Because if we were to say something about a certain category of people, you guys would rain fire. Even if it was something that was being spoken truthful about a nation of people, you guys would rain fire. So, NBF? Really? That's something that needs to be dealt with. That's a topic that needs to be spoken about ad nauseum. NBF. No black fighters. What are your thoughts on that, Reggie?
Yeah, man, that came from I can't think of his name. That came from Terrence Crawford, the company that really lacks diversity with the decision making, and his son-in-law ain't gonna cut it. They can be the people who make decisions if they wanted, but Bomb's been making that mistake for a long time. And it was like somebody brought up this in the post in the comments that I had read when I put a video up, and the person was stating, man, Bob Arum was the same guy who said Canelo versus Floyd Mayweather ain't worth this much money for a pay-per-view. It ain't pay-per-view worthy. Cotto versus I think Pacquiao or whoever it was, or Mayweather. Well, no, it wasn't Mayweather, but Cotto versus whoever it was. Oh, this isn't pay-per-view worthy. He didn't want to spend the money on it. And then these fights end up going to become massive fights. Like everything Bob predicts in the sport of boxing turns out totally opposite. These dudes are so out of touch. They're very poor with being predictors in the sport game. And he's going to be surprised at what probably comes out of that Teofimo fight. He's going to be very surprised with what happens, because along with these Australian fans is that these fans are about as supportive and crazy behind their athletes as the UK. And hell, they wanted the same to begin with, and they turn out. And I've seen this firsthand from doing one of the fight calls and see how many of these people turn out. It's like I keep bringing up is these dudes, they thought Jeff Horn was goddamn the reincarnation of Muhammad Ali or something. They just thought this greatly of Jeff Horn. They thought highly of him. And even with Bob Arum wanting to take that fight up over to Australia until these travel restrictions, because he talked about the money he was going to make from that event, because he wanted the gates from over there, because he knows that those Australian fans would turn out. But now that this event is going to where he says doesn't sell, being pay-per-view, they're going to make more money than what they think they are. Being you have Holyfield Tyson that's going to draw on a certain level, and then if you get it to where you pitch it over to whatever is a price point worthy for those Australians to watch Kambosa, who they say is very popular over there, Triller is about to make a killing on this fight, and I can't really wait till they release these numbers, because Bob Arum is so out of touch, and it ain't the fact that he's out of touch. Bob Arum's out of touch with what he thinks a fighter is worthy of and what percentage he thinks he's supposed to take. And if they really open the books on what Top Rank got over there, they'll see that he's doing probably twice as bad as what they thought Don King was doing to fighters. But a lot of these fighters are too dumb to look at their own personal finances, being they come from, backgrounds of, generations of poverty, that they accept with whatever Bob Arum gets them because it's a lot of money to them. And they refuse to look at the other intricate details, like what woke Floyd up is looking into the real details of why I'm not making this and this person's making that. Bob Arum really doesn't have anybody that's making grand amount of money. But I guarantee Bob Arum's pulling in a bunch of money on these events. And that's why he hated that a guy like Al Heyman came in here, who started waking these fighters up to where the money comes from and how do you get it. But that's my thoughts on these clowns.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about the shout out to Trick Noti out there. He says, good evening. Salute Sensei and Reggie. Good evening. Salute to you, Trick Noti. Good to see you, bro. Yeah, the whole thing, they tried to turn Al Heyman into a villain in this sport. Remember, they were trying to talk about him as if he were this guy over there who Bob is affiliated with now. And I don't like to give this guy no shine talking about his name or his company or anything, but that's what they were trying to do to Al Heyman. And Al Heyman didn't do anything but find a way to go around the Muhammad Ali Act, okay, and get fighters to wake up to being more economically focused and responsible for themselves. He hasn't given them the blueprint to anything, but he has given them keys to cars to drive off the lot. You know what I'm saying? Whereas before, they could ride in the car, test drive it off the lot, but they couldn't take possession. You understand? But see, that's not being complete. Being complete is not only being able to take your pick of what's on the lot and drive away with it, but have a plan to where you're going after that, you see? And this is how you can see the manipulations in the sport. Everybody has their finger pointed at somebody else, says, watch that guy, watch that guy. And, like, that person that's telling you to watch that guy got his hand in your pocket, and you turn your head to watch that guy, but you got your hand in his pocket, and so forth and so on and so forth and so on. This is what it is. But nobody is broken free of the situation yet. You look at everybody who went on to have successful careers who left Top Rank. They did so much better elsewhere after leaving Top Rank than when they were under that umbrella of promotion. Bob is like that old dad that won't let his girls go out on a date. You can't come over to visit them. You can't call their house. You understand? The only time you see them is when they go to school, or something like that. And he drives them to school and picks them up, And he got good girls, but it's like he don't care about that. He just wants to control everything. That's him. That's him, Reggie, in a nutshell. And he'll die that way. Don't you think that some of these guys have more time than he does? So what are they waiting for? I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. And the worst part of it all is this. Anyone who gets in the sport of boxing is getting into it to try to make some money off of somebody. They're not getting into it because I see the potential in this guy and he can be a dynamite fighter, world champion, and by the time we're done with him, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. That's not what they're looking to do. They're looking to snatch and grab. And even from the fighter, they're looking to snatch and grab. There's something terribly wrong in a sport where there's no integrity, where there's no ethic, and we have to get this thing straight. And I think the way that we cover the sport, meaning us as a community, and we expose and we have conversation and we have live chat like we have here, and we can discuss, make people's wheels turn. We have the fighters. They out here listening to us. Across the community. They listen to channels, they listen to shows and discussions and everything. And it assists them because it's an openness about this that we may be turning them on to some things that they hadn't even had a chance to think about because they're being inundated with so much unfair play that they're, targets. So it has to be talked about. It has to be put out there. And we have a responsibility to keep things on course. And like right now, if anybody is a villain in the sport, he's attached to him. So you know what that makes him. And birds of a feather, you know the rest. Trick Noty says, Stormybman working on something big. Okay, good to see that, Trick. Skinny Kenny is out there. He says, I believe ESPN wants some stars and to be able to do pay-per-views while Bob is trying to pocket large chunks of the budget they give him. Yeah, he's been doing it a long time. Remember, he stole his promotional company from the great Muhammad Ali. Okay, that's how he got his break. He stole from the greatest. But Reggie, let's move on to another subject. We had this situation where Devin Haney found himself being called out by Justin, what's his name? Javier Fortuna. What are your thoughts on this one? I know you have mentioned that for a topic. So what are your thoughts on this?
Now all of a sudden Javier comes out the fray to start labeling Devin Haney as a cherry picker and a ducker. And it's funny at the time in which it comes out. Javier see all this money that's being given to Tiafimo. He like, the heck, I need to open my mouth and start calling some of these folks out to get some of that hard-earned cash, that easy money. I need it. So he go after the dude who's the next hot name in the sport of boxing. That's Devin Haney. Now he wants to fight him. And he's using some strong words to get a fight. And matter of fact, I even seen to where the promoter has been on the he was on the Boxing Voice because I think Devin Haney was talking about fighting Linares, and now the promoter's like he about to file motions to stop the Linares fight because now his fighter wants to fight. So they know it's big money to be made in here, and they need to go and risk it. And they like Javier's an undefeated fighter, so he's going to go in there. He ain't going to lay down. That's a tough fight for Devin Haney, too. As skilled as Devin Haney is, Fortuna's a tough and rugged fight. And Devin and them have to be on their A game. I think they can win the fight, but I ain't going to count Javier out. This is probably the most experienced fighter that outside of Gamboa, but Gamboa coming off an injury wasn't that great of a dang opponent to be in there with at this phase of his life. Javier would be a good matchup on his record, and just see how well he does against Javier Fortuna would be good. And also to look at the money, because now it forces Eddie Hearn and them to make sure with this Thriller thing, and that's why I want to get the Thrillers to bid of the pros and cons with that as well, is that this Thriller thing changes these fighters. Do these fighters start opening their mouths and start challenging the other so-called great names that are the elite names that are out there? Does this force the hands of that? And I think it does open the hands to where now fighters, in order to get your money in this prize fighting business, to where these belts don't regulate anything. These belts really don't mean nothing because they don't hold a standard. They don't hold who's going to fight who next. So it's time for fighters. And that's what they say. If fights want to be made, these fighters can fight anybody that's out there. So with money being offered, with more players, Thriller entering into the business, and they know how to market and put on great events to attract fans up over there, it's going to happen. And the reason why you get people like Bob Arum, who denies anything as being a worthy fight, is because, once again, he doesn't understand culture. He doesn't understand the behavior, the wants and the likes of the audiences that is out there. So therefore, he doesn't know how to put on an event. And I think Javier understands that there's money to be made. He's going to talk himself up into it. He's going to activate being a mandatory because he wants some of that money. He doesn't care about losing or not, but he knows he's going to go in there and give you a tough fight. So I think now he wants the Devin Haney fight, which was a fight he kind of put off before because I think they were supposed to go into these eliminators and he avoided the fight. But now it's mighty funny that he wants that fight now.
Yeah, and that's a great segue, Reg, because let's talk about this Triller for a minute, man. It's like, you know, they made noise this week by winning that purse bid and overpaying for the services of Teofimo Lopez and this, what's his opponent's name?
Cambosa.
Yeah, Cambosis. And it's like to overpay for the services of these gentlemen. I need to see this thing come to its completion to understand what their motives are. Some people are speculating they're trying to make a power play into the sport of boxing. Some people are speculating they're just trying to draw interest to their app and everything. But at the end of the day, it's nice that there is another hat thrown into this arena, but we won't know what their goal and purpose is until things kind of play out a little bit. Because remember, I said, nobody gets into the sport of boxing just to make great fights and give the fans what they want and make the fighters rich. They get into the sport of boxing because they say, man, we could do a quick snatch and dash. You know, we can get up out of here with something, a bag of money. I'm leery because, remember, HBO was around for a very long time. And the one thing that HBO had going for them was it was a network that was respected, but also around the matches that they put on and everything, they built a following through doing it with some type of it was well represented, you know, well-spoken interviews and excerpts and anecdotes on fighters, background stories, you know, covering them. And showing the fighters in a very positive light and stuff like that, even though Larry Merchant later got beside himself tremendously and hurt the brand with his bigoted views on fighters and things like that. But overall, the presentation was always wrapped in a nice bow. And it was almost like if you missed the HBO fight, you missed what was going on in boxing, because sometimes they would have segue into other things that were transpiring in the sport, even though what they showed you at the moment, they presented it as it was the most happening thing in boxing. That's why you got to be here. You know, one of the things that people forget is the best display of boxing was when it was on network TV. Every day, I mean, every weekend, Wide World of Sports, NBC, CBS, you know, when they would put these fights on and you got to know the guys because they were in your homes every week, and a couple of times throughout the year, guys are fighting and you, oh, that's Rocky Lockridge. Oh, that's, what's his name? The guy Alexis Arguello or whoever. You know, it's like you see these guys and you become to know who they are and their names, and it's like, wow, you know, it's a sport now when it's presented like that, right? Because you got college basketball games, you got college football games, you got professional baseball and everything around the sport of boxing, because we'll break after this game and show you this fight, and later on we got tennis coming up, or later on we got the Indianapolis 500 or car racing or whatever. You get to see these fights and you're invested because it's in your home. You're sitting there with your beer and your chips and you're checking it out. See, they've taken that away from us, and they've put it in a box and told us, okay, this presentation is what you need to see if you want to watch boxing. Well, I don't want to see all this foolishness. I don't want to see it wrapped up where they're giving a concert and they doing this other stuff just to show me a fight. I want to see the fight. If I want to go to a concert, I go to a freaking concert. Okay? If I want to see a bunch of has-beens or whatever doing what they do, I know how to look at that. But it's like, don't tell me you're polishing up doo-doo and it's brass, because it ain't. Okay? And that's why I said we need to see what these people's objective is, because as they've presented it so far, off of one little thing that had one of the most popular guys from the sport of boxing who's way past his prime and everything, that's Mike Tyson. Okay? Because they had that, people were talking about it, but they could have had me and you fighting on the undercard of that. Not that Paul kid and Nate Robinson. They could have had you and I on there, and it still would have did the same numbers because of who was in the main event. So this is the thing. You can't keep selling me pothead Mike Tyson, 50 plus years old. We the same age. Okay? And he ain't gonna stop smoking. He ain't gonna stop doing what he doing. He gonna be who he is. And you putting him on a pay app where I should pay to watch him past his prime, fighting somebody else, Holyfield, who used to be my favorite fighter, past his prime. And I'm supposed to look at that as entertainment? Triller couldn't come in and make Earl Spence and Bud Crawford? You see where I'm going with this? They couldn't come in and make AJ and Deontay Wilder? Hell, they can't come in and make Fury and Wilder 3? Why has it got to be a negative aspect of the sport mixed in with the sport? Why can't we have some real positive things going for the sport and it be the sport? You can put makeup on it, lipstick. You can put a dress or a suit and shoes. Spray it with perfume. But a monkey is a monkey. It ain't no human being. And that title right there should tell you all you need to know. Triller. Because it ain't real. What you got, Reggie?
Oh, gee, I gotta be opposite of you, man. I like what they doing, man. I like what Triller got going, and there's a reason behind why Mike Tyson and Roy Jones, Evander Holyfield, Shannon Briggs soon to be. You got Tarver coming back out. You got Michael Nunn.
Reggie, all them guys had careers, bro.
But there's a reason why they have the opportunity of coming back making big money.
But listen, hold on. Not to cut you off. Not to cut you off. I just want to say this, though. If you want to make an old fellas league, let it be that. Let it be that. I'm not saying they shouldn't make money. But if I'm watching boxing, bro, I like to have a say-so in what my choices are. They're shoving that down your throat when they're not making the other fights that they should be making for the sport.
That has nothing to do with Triller. It has everything to be doing what was going on before these guys even came about. Everything to do before the zone came about. It's been what these networks and these guys who have remained in the sport for decades and decades have done to kill off the sport. That's the reason why so many people have injected the UFC in comparison to boxing. Boxing has been killed off by itself. It has eaten itself from within. And this is the reason why people like Tyson can come back out the woodworks, because people as a mass rather watch these guys get back into it because they're not seeing what they've been calling for years. You ain't seen none of that since the 2000s have ended. They have tarnished the heck out of this boxing game. So now Thriller has been able to find a way of entertaining a new brand of audience, presented it in a new package, and it's an entertaining package. And that's what the sport is about. And also bringing it into where other fighters can find a way of opening this lane, because fighters ain't getting what they want. The fighters can't get what they want out of regular boxing. So they shift over to this type of brand of boxing. And hopefully as it begins to kind of mature and grow, it will phase out the old league of boxing will become phased out as they begin. There's a strategy going over here with Thriller. It's to open people up into this market, letting them see their old great fighters of the past, go back and redo things or create the fantasy matchups, but also injecting more popular name boxers to a newer audience and also a familiar audience and building upon that. And then they'll shift Mike Tyson and them about the way and start presenting these current age fighters. As long as these current fighters want to get in the fights, Thriller doesn't have exclusive rights. Like I was saying, we was talking about this about a month or two ago. And I remember this idea when we had this on a live stream I did. It came from when I'm taking a walk and I'm listening to somebody's channel and I'm thinking about boxing. And I'm like, the issue with boxing is the fact that these networks have stepped in here and began to sign people to exclusive deals. And I think that should have never been allowed to occur within a sport, to where networks sign exclusive deals. Networks should be forced to bid for fighters, so that way fighters get the money they want and they have to fight, because networks sign people exclusive deals. That's the thing that fell out with Canelo. And then the executives get to a point where their ratings going down. Nah, you can't fight that guy. So then now you get locked up in this gym where the fighter is going in conflict with this network. No, give them the freedom. If a network finds value into it, like Triller did, they have the option to say, oh, no, I'm outbid because I want this fight. And it forces these fighters to wake themselves up, to get back in proper shape, to be like, oh, it's some real money out here. And then also, if the money is real and the opportunities are real, you start shifting people away, because most of our top athletes, because of what they did to boxing, shifted away from going into the sport of boxing as young amateurs, and they all on the football field and basketball fields. And that was the problem. It ain't Thriller. It's been done way before him. I think Thriller and whoever comes after Thriller will be the solution to fix this sport. But Mike Tyson and these old age leagues will begin to get phased out as people grow more interested. If these young fighters go in there and put on brilliant performances, and that's the thing, fighters have to perform. They can't just take the money and then just go in here and give people watered down performances, over safe performances, and leave too much in the ring. They have to go in here and thrive for wins. Even the underdogs, even if you the counted out opponent, you got to go in here looking to take off this champion who they write you off against head. And it just attracts fans. And the other thing, like when people think about the UFC and all that stuff, the one aspect that people miss with the UFC, besides people like Teddy Atlas constant complaining on the commentary staff, bashing the heck out of boxing, turning people away from boxing, you dealt with Jim Lampley pushing the product on people that Americans didn't too much care to think about. White, black, Latino Americans didn't care to hear about European fighters being stuffed down their throat. And then when you get the UFC as a package, when you listen to the UFC, you're being educated. The one thing that built the UFC is not just the fighters, it's what the announcer did. Boxing announcers kill off the sport. Boxing writers kills off the sports. The UFC single-handedly was built by that dude. What's his name? He's the Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan helped to develop that UFC into the great brand that it became, because when he sits on a commentary desk, he tells fans who, when many people watch the sport, they know nothing about what they're watching. Joe Rogan, with his background, when you're watching that, he gives you the ins and outs. If you see a choke, he gives you the name of the choke, the way to defend it, what this fighter is doing to get pressure on this lock, to go in here to, lock it in deeper, to submit this guy, where he needs to turn his hips. He start giving you all that education while keeping it entertaining and never bashing the sport. He may have biases towards some fighters, which is he's not over the board with it, but he never bashes that side of the sport. And they help to build that sport without tarnishing the name of it. And even if a fight was whack, they didn't harp on it like Teddy Atlas. Oh, this crap and all that. They don't do all that stuff. And that's what helped to develop the UFC and what killed boxing off. So I think new entries into the sport of boxing forces these fighters, and these fighters have to stop signing exclusive deals. Like Terrence Crawford should not be signed to no promoter. More fighters need to be like Mikey Garcia. Earl Spence should not be signed to no exclusive deal to no promoter. Who else is out there? Pacquiao should not be, which I don't think he really is. But many of these fighters who reach a certain level, especially AJ is the definite fighter that should not be signed to no exclusive deal. He should not be signed to Eddie Hearn to represent him. And he's fooling himself. But there's many fighters like that who should take the opportunities of seeing what's going on, find their independence, and shop themselves, and also shop themselves of calling out other fighters. They have to do that. And a lot of these dudes don't understand the aspects of business. They blame Floyd Mayweather for all this stuff of not happening in the sport. Floyd Mayweather ain't have one single thing to do with what's going on in the sport. It's every single fighter half-assed in their way to figuring out, how do I stay undefeated to be like Floyd, and this is how I get the money. No, fans don't care about undefeated fighters. They care about fighters who go in there, present themselves to the highest of ability, and entertain and inspire, because boxing is a sport that inspires people, and these dudes ain't inspiring crap because they want to hold on to belts that don't mean nothing. But that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, you make some great points, but what Triller is doing is not original. HBO had a show that they did called KO Nation, and they had Ed Lover on there. They brought rap in there. They had dancers and stuff, and they had young prospects fighting experienced veterans on that show. It was a very good show, actually, and it didn't stay on their network very long. But it was the same principle of this. The only difference is now they've got old fighters doing it. And I just don't want to see the feature of boxing be the old guys. when you got so many of these young guys around and they won't even fight each other. That's the thing, you know. And but that's it, you know, as far as my thoughts on that. Let's move on into this thing with AJ and Tyson Fury. Boy, have we been given the runaround with this. You know, the fact that Tyson Fury, who was the architect of this whole thing, told us a year ago in the summer, you know, that this fight was a done deal and that people could look up forward to he and Joshua facing one another for the undisputed heavyweight championship with his lineal on the line and the WBC belt that he got from his fight with Deontay Wilder. And, you know, we were told the paperwork was signed and agreed upon, not signed, but agreed upon between the camps and everything. This whole thing right here, man, what nobody is saying is it's being held up. It's being held up specifically and for specific reasons. But what are your thoughts on this? Because as we talk about this, there is a third party in this, and that's Deontay Wilder. But what are your thoughts on this overall, Reggie? And let us know what you think.
Man, like I stated, man, that's why I put that video out, guaranteeing that fight is not happening. They've been too silent on it. That fight should have been announced. Tyson Fury's been out of this ring for a whole 12 months, if not approaching longer than that, if he ain't at his 13th month already. It's not popping off. It's not going to go down for him. You don't hear any rumblings from AJ. Nothing reported from AJ. They still busy trying to con Usyk out of stepping aside and going into who they trying to line Usyk up with, Joe Joyce. They trying to do all this maneuvering. And then here you have the fighters that are kind of in the background and their promoters are using them the same way Eddie Hearn used Dillian White as an as a buffer between AJ and Wilder fighting, playing like Dillian White is a mandatory and trying to call for these fight when he really wasn't. So they're doing this once again with Usyk, who ain't signed to none of them, but now they're using, Frank Warren is using no, matter of fact, Usyk, I believe, is signed to Eddie Hearn. And then you got Joe Joyce, who's signed to Frank Warren, who's the promoter of Tyson Fury as well. Now they're trying to use these fighters as dang bumpers to keep out the way, trying to force them into it. And I hope Usyk don't bite on none of that crap. Go out there, stay in the way of forcing Anthony Joshua to fight him. But that's the thing that's holding everything up, is that you got arbitration going on for Tyson Fury. He can't make no moves. Then you got where the mandatory Usyk is right there. So it's just Eddie Hearn and them trying to pull some fast crap because his fighter has been scared of this other heavyweight who now Tyson Fury appears to be scared of as well, because he ended up coming out victorious in that second fight, but it was a fight in where the opponent he fought wasn't fully 100%. And now going into a trilogy, he's afraid of going in there against a healthy Deontay Wilder, and he's avoiding taking the fight, making up every excuse. Well, the contract expired. Hey, buddy, the contract can't expire. We didn't have some national crisis. What are you talking about? Well, he disrespected my people. The gypsies, and he ain't even a dang gypsy. They need to do a DNA test to figure out if Tyson Fury is really a gypsy or he's just a white dude who I say that went camping every week. He ain't no real traveler like a gypsy traveler. He's a weekend campsite vacationer, and they need to run a DNA test before he talks about, because him and Billy Joe Saunders look like the most pure British white folks I've ever seen, or Irish white folks I've ever seen. They don't look nothing like no gypsies. They don't look like they struggle any day of their damn life. And I think it's all a joke and a gimmick that he plays to I don't know what he does it for, to act like he's come from a struggle or something. But it's not happening. It's not going down. That's why you don't hear Eddie Hearn speaking about it. Eddie Hearn and them trying to do whatever they can to avoid, forcing Tyson Fury into this fight against the American heavyweight and seeing Wilder with the belts again, because Wilder having the belt again is a threat to both of these guys. It's a threat to Frank Warren. This is why Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn are now trying to work together when they've always been in contests with each other. Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren father's always been in contest. And Frank Warren's defeated his father before, but now all of a sudden they have to work together because this American fighter has become a threat to everything over there. So they want to bypass him. And even looking at it, when they talk about they fight again, they're going to do it a second time. So it just shows where they at with it. They're fearful and afraid. And they're also talking about dropping these belts. Now all of a sudden, how Eddie Hearn did everything to make sure Anthony Joshua had belts, to where now you're hearing conversation of even from Bob Arum as well. So now all of a sudden they make the talk from people been saying these belts don't mean nothing. Now Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum are speaking of these belts being pointless. Oh, so now you want to preach that. You want to preach that only at this moment where this fighter is at this brink. This is almost like they're trying to franchise. That's franchise talk that they're talking about. Now the belts don't mean nothing. It's no different in the WBC franchise and certain fighters. But that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and, you know, as far as Wilder in this, I don't think that Tyson Fury is going to fight Wilder a third time. I don't think he can be pressured into it by the courts. I don't think he could be pressured into it by promoters or motivated by money. This thing is very personal now because of what transpired in the second fight. My eyes now, Reggie, are affixed to what are Wilder's options going forward, because he's allowed himself to be, you know, in this situation. I don't really think going into that rematch, I don't think he really understood what was at stake. And he was susceptible. He was susceptible to a lot of things that transpired. That's not all on him. It's on a lot of the people that have been around him and everything, because there's no honor amongst thieves, and people can be bought easily. That being said, his eyes should be on something else now going forward. And for him, I don't know what that could be. But if he were to resume his boxing career, my suggestion would be that he go hell-bent on destructing and destroying whomever gets in the ring with him as if they were Tyson Fury. He should exact all vengeance upon each and every opponent that he finds himself in there going forward, leaving no doubt, just leaving people, you know, in the wake of his destructive path. By doing that, he'll send a message throughout the sport of boxing. He'll send a message throughout the heavyweight division. He'll send a message throughout these writers and these promoters. And because he's well off, it shouldn't be for money. It shouldn't be about the money. It should be about cracking heads. That's the only way he can get something back for himself. The only way. But you could believe they're going to keep certain people away from him. That's just the way it's going to be. And that's why he has to do what he needs to do to the others that are in there with him, to leave no doubt. Like a rhino being released in a glass shop. You know, he should just be going around destructing and destroying everything in his path, stomping it. If he doesn't do that, If he doesn't have that mindset, I don't know why he would want to hang and endure and go through with his career. And I'm not saying he should end his career. I'm saying he has to find purpose, because it is obvious, it's blatantly obvious that they have taken certain things away where it's not going to be there for him for legacy. It's not going to be there for him for some type of recognition, you know. There are elements and forces working against him tremendously. That's why we really have to watch what the verdict is going to be meted out for this mediation and everything that's going on in the legal system. I am concerned, but like I said, there's a way to point him in a proper direction and let it rip. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you talking about as far as Wilder moving on with his career?
Yeah.
Ooh, man. Yeah. And you make a great point, and I hate to see that he has to forego that trilogy. But also, and I think that's what they're trying to do, is to play this waiting game and drag this thing out, because he is the older amongst these guys, and try to drag this stuff out and, you know, play keep away from him. But like you said, at some point he does have to get back with his career. But I think he wants to ensure that he's putting himself back in position to get after these titles. I think if anyone is should be positioned to get another opportunity at the belt, it shall be him. But I think with what they're doing, because there's no order to what's going on within the sport of boxing, these guys are able to pick and choose who is rated, who is ranked at what, and who they're going to fight. And I think that's what he hates. And it's almost like he'll fall from grace by allowing these folks to go about doing whatever they want. And this is the mistake he made by even pulling this guy up out the trash and giving him an opportunity to snake him. And that's kind of one of the biggest tragedies in this whole ordeal, is the fact that he's given the opportunity for a guy who doesn't reciprocate what was given to him. He just played this dude, just straight up. What's that show people watch, Big Brother? He just did like the Big Brother show on Deontay Wilder. And it's unfortunate that, you're right, he might have to move on. He ain't got too much time left in his career as Father Time begins to creep in.
Yeah, I feel like there has to be a redirect, a refocus. And if he's incapable of the redirect and refocus, don't do it. But it should be exacting vengeance on every opponent that gets in there that is not named Tyson Fury, as if they were named Tyson Fury. That's the only... He has to become a bloodletter. He has to be venomous. And that's the thing, because they're going to keep Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury away from him. They're going to keep those guys away from him. You're not going to see what you would like to see, and that's him competing against both guys. A third match between he and Fury, a first go round with he and Joshua. If you notice, Joshua has already started talking about retirement, you know. And the reason why isn't because he's had a rough go. He's only lost one fight, but he has whittled away time. He has not gotten better since he acquired his first title against Charles Martin. He has not gotten better. He is the same guy today with a few additional fights under his belt that he was that night he got in the ring with Charles Martin. He has not improved. There's not an outstanding thing that he does. There's not a development or certain other things. It's just he has the experience of where he's been from there to now, but there's no upside. He's right there. He's leveled off. And if he wants to retire based on that, that's a good thing. You get out, you done stole the cookies out of the jar, so you might as well go on around the corner and eat them, huh? Because if you hang around wavering those cookies, someone who's more hungry gonna come and snatch them from you, huh? That's it. That's the name of the game. And for Fury, he's been there, placed tactically and strategically for a reason. That whole thing that they let him go with Bob Arum anyway, between the first fight and the second fight, all of that, I'm still befuddled by that. And why would Bob Arum get involved in that situation when he had nothing to do with that promotion or anything to begin with? It stinks. It really stinks what these men were doing. And the whole point of it is this man has been victimized. And let's not forget this part of it, Reggie. At the end of the day, they are not going to properly compensate him for his losses. I know this. They're not. And when we talk about the money, you're talking about at least how many times could Wilder have fought had they naturally had their third fight? Maybe 3 times? And you figure his purse was regularly double figures? So we're talking close to, hundreds of millions of dollars potentially, because he had become pay-per-view. Then you talk about punitive damages. You talk about physical damages with that whole thing about something being improper. There is compensation that's due. And if he doesn't get that and resumes his career, he definitely need to go on a bloodletting. That's right. Stormy is endorsing it. Because that's the only place you can get your justice, in that ring. And I'm sorry, Charles Martin, Joseph Parker, Efe Ajagba, whoever's out there, you know what I mean? If it happens to you, you just casualty of war, bruh. But that's what it's got to be. That's what it needs to be. Because they're not going to give this man justice. He's a black man. A dark black man. From the South. You know what they've done through history to our people, Reggie? And I know you know that's just a hypothetical question. With no justice. With no justice. The history behind what has been done. It's time for people to wake up, bro.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Shout out to Anwar Willis out there in the super chat. He says, shout out to Stormybman and Reggie Owens. Much love. Thank you for that super chat, brother, and shout out to you. Appreciate your donation. We had a couple of comments there, Reggie. I want to go back to where LeVar Cooper was saying facts. IGM Tim says, great cooking, guys. Damn, I need it this evening. Mr. Mechanical is speaking to LeVar. And he says, you are right, Stormy. Wilder has to just be a man on a mission every fight. Yep, taking caps and names. Big Homie Coop says the champ will bounce back from this BS. IGM Tim is saluting you, Reggie. Chicano Prophet is out there, says hope Wilder gets back in the ring soon too. And Boxing and Barbecue is out there, says I blame AJ. Had he fought Wilder years ago, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Yeah, man. AJ allowed himself to be finagled and tripped up by Hearn and Matchroom, sacrificing his own personal generational wealth to be in a SLAVE contract with these guys. JC is out there saying salute Stormy B, man. Big Homie Coop says me too, Stormy B, man. Skinny Kenny says it jumped on me. He says Skinny Kenny says the fight Fury and Wilder 3 is going to happen unless Fury drops the belt. Fury's people can't get out of the contract or they would have already fought a tune-up. It's not about getting out of the contract. It's about the legal side running its course, and a decision will be made at that time. If this man doesn't want to fight him, yes, of course he's going to drop the belts. But you have to understand, with this circumstance, there should be compensation for Wilder, and the system is impartial toward Wilder's circumstances and Wilder himself. It shouldn't even be going on this long. Read through the red tape, bro. Big Homie Coop says, how did Fury get 2 tune-ups? Eric R says, nothing personal, just business. Big Homie Coop is also saying it's lit. Skinny Kenny says, Fury sounded like he is willing to fight Wilder yesterday and just get the check, which would be huge. I think Fury himself knows he can get the AJ fight win or lose versus Wilder. Big Homie Coop says, your words are right on point. Absolutely, man. You know how I do it. But, yeah, you got anything else on that, Reggie?
No, that's all I got, OG.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. I don't want to leave this with, bitter feelings or anything like that. So I'll just move it on to something that I was kind of speaking on early in the show before you popped on with me. We got fights this weekend. Tonight, there was supposed to be this card. I believe it was over in Italy, and I don't know the results of it yet. It's another DAZN feature, and this guy Scardina and Nunes were headlining this card, and this was, I think, for a super middleweight title, and in Italy, a matchroom promotion. The results are probably still coming in on this one, and I had no intention of watching that because we were doing our show tonight. But one of the other matches, Reggie, that we saw that were headlining for this weekend is the Junior Fa and Joseph Parker fight. That right there, the battle of the Samoan brothers, we're going to see that in the wee hours of the morning. I don't know if you probably be up to see it, Reggie, because you always, that's your time.
Yeah, I'm calling it.
Yeah, you out there, you might as well put your cape on and put some fake fangs in your mouth like Dracula, because that's your peak hours right there. Me, I may be snoring, bro, because I can't. I'm going to try, though, because I don't have to work tomorrow, but it's like, man, I got a heavy schedule tomorrow. I got to do some things around the house. Personally, I got some errands, and then I got Blue Blood on In the Eye of the Storm in the early afternoon. Then, of course, we're going to do the post-fight later, tomorrow night. So it's like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get some rest in between all of this stuff going on. But this is going to be an interesting heavyweight fight. These guys know each other, Reggie. What are your thoughts about this fight as we get ready for it?
I don't know too much about Junior Fa, but I've heard about him. They said he beat Parker a couple of times in the amateurs or whatnot. But as far as their professional careers, I think Joseph went a different direction. I think he's been in with better experience. But I don't know too much about Junior Fa, I don't want to discount him. But especially when those folks of Polynesian descent get in conflict with each other because of their tribal histories or whatnot, they go to war with each other. And you see that amongst a lot of, because me being in LA, you see that amongst Samoans and Tongans out here, is they look alike, but based on history, they hate each other. And they go, you'll see some tremendous wars between them. But the Samoans I'm talking about make Joseph Parker and them look like welterweights if you've ever been around Samoans and stuff. But so hopefully they go into a good war, man. They go into a good war with each other. So I'm just in there to check it out, see what they look like. And like Parker said, man, this is his last hurrah. He falls off on this one. He might as well wrap it up and see where Junior Fa go from here.
Yeah. It just seems that Parker has lost on so many angles, man. I mean, come on. How you going to be a dude named Parker and get bit by a spider, and don't become Spider-Man? That's what I want to know. But that's just a whole nother story.
I forgot about that. When did he do that? I think he did that for a reason, though.
Yeah, probably just to get out the fight, But yeah, man, he said he had to pull out of that fight. I forget who he was supposed to be fighting. But he got bit by a spider, so he couldn't fight. I'm like, dude, you ain't web swinging around somewhere? Come on, man. That was weak. But yeah, and this fight coming up tomorrow night on Fox, PBC, Reggie, where the return of Anthony Durrell. We get to see this guy, coming back. His fight against David Benavidez, I spoke about this a little earlier in the show too. I'm talking about it. He suffered that really, really bad cut. That was a bad cut. And he should be worried about that scar tissue around his eyes. So he need to protect himself. And he's not the most focused guy. Durrell's attention wanes. It drifts during fights. And that's why Benavidez was able to, catch him like he did. He had dropped his hands at some point and never got hit and got cut at the same time. Now, I'm not saying that Mr. Davis, Kyron, or it's either Kieron or Kyron Davis, I'm not sure that he is the guy offensively that can do the things to Durrell to cause him some problems. But with his meager 6 KOs out of 17 fights, it doesn't look like he has a lot of pop on his punches. But if he can box, which I have never seen him box before, or if I have, I've seen so little of him that it hasn't left an impression on me. This is definitely a return showcase fight for Durrell, I think. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, most definitely. I don't know too much about what's his name, Kieran, but I heard someone speaking about how they brought up the other aspect of how crappy this is, that this is the fight that Durrell gets to get back into, I think it's Eliminator or whatnot, but that he's fighting someone who's ranked at like 90 something or wherever they said this dude is lowly rated. So it puts Durrell back in the spot. And like you're bringing up, like he fights very well. Matter of fact, the dude who's fighting Canelo tomorrow is an opponent that he fought for that. Matter of fact, I think it's for a vacant belt. Benavidez is vacant belt, matter of fact, when he fell for the cocaine. And he was battling Yildirim, and he fought well in that fight. But I think Yildirim may have hit him with a head, but something happened. But he was fighting well. Yildirim was fighting well. And then he goes into the next fight against David Benavidez to get back at his title. He was boxing David Benavidez as well until him and Tony Harrison do these same things. They just start to taper off. I don't know if they get bored in the fight or if it's fatigue and boredom sets in and they make the mistakes. The one moment he decided to taunt and play around with Benavidez and drop his hands and lean forward, Benavidez opened that cut over already tissue scarred face, and he just messed it up from there. But yeah, hopefully he doesn't go in here and play with this dude because he can fight, man, and he makes fighting look easy. Doesn't like he's overdoing it. He just very well. He's well schooled. I don't know if he's been trained by Emmanuel Stewart or whatnot, or what school he comes from, but it's just he makes those mistakes. But I doubt if it occurs against this dude he's fighting. Once again, I don't know too much about the Chiron dude, but he's getting in that ring. Hopefully he doesn't look down upon himself and he comes in here to challenge himself and he shocks everybody. But then again, here go another day. Hopefully these fights don't intercept each other or overlap.
Yeah, and man, it seems like every week we're talking about that, right? It's crazy. Salute to L-Dub Boxing out there, the resident stat man, Lawrence Williams. He says Parker is Samoan and Fa is Tongan. He also says that it was...
That's a war then.
Yeah. He also says that it was the Chisora fight that Parker pulled out of due to the spider bite. Yeah, dude gonna get bit by a spider named Parker and don't turn into Spider-Man. That's crazy. And then he also says Sugar Hill versus Breadman is the most interesting factor in this fight because J-Rock left Breadman for Sugar Hill. Man, Lawrence Williams be knowing the details. That's brother.
Hell yeah,
that's why I call him the resident stat man, bro. He's like, you know, on Partner Interruption when they tell that guy, okay, run the stats. What mistakes did we make? And the guy pulls out his sheet. Oh yeah, you were wrong about this. It was over there, not here. That's Lawrence. He knows. That brother be knowing. So salute to him, and it's great to have someone who has that acute awareness and studies the details to that degree because it helps. It really helps us, fortify what we're talking about and everything. So I'm not making fun. I'm actually complimenting when I say that. But yeah, Reggie, you going back to that Fa Parker thing, Tongan and Samoan, you say, well, that's a war then? Definitely so, bro. Definitely.
Oh heck yeah, man! They tribal wise, they don't like each. I'm saying they don't like each other because of old tribal history, and it's passed on generation to generation.
Yeah, I understand. I totally understand. So, and then we have, the other fight that is supposed to be highlighted by Matchroom and DAZN, Mr. Canelo versus Yildirim. Now, this is interesting, Reggie, because they know each other. They've worked together in the past, I think, in the gym and things like that. But you can't help thinking about those odds that they put on this fight, man. When you watch those odds get played with like that, sometimes funny stuff happens. I'm not trying to say anything funny is happening here. The only thing that I'm saying is keep your eyes peeled because, boxing is a strange sport, bro. It's a strange sport. And sometimes when guys try to fight safe fights and be safe and stay safe and keep safe and all of that, there's a nail in the carpet that they didn't see and they step on it. That's all I'm going to say, What are your thoughts on this one?
I'll put me a bet on Yildirim. Put me a nice bet on Yildirim.
That's smart.
Because I look at it for those odds. I didn't find those 40-1 odds I was looking for, but it was a good amount of odds that I found at the sports book I went to. But I think something's going to happen in this fight. Even before finding out the odds, I'm just like, man, everything is just put in this setting. I remember Kurt was saying he had a feeling where all them upsets was happening like a year or two ago, and he was saying he had his feeling. In this fight, I had a feeling that something's funny is going to happen because everything's kind of transpiring with Canelo is different. I don't think he's no longer that kind of big name star, and I think those mistakes were made going over to the zone, remaining with Oscar De La Hoya when he could have broke about doing his own thing, and that the fact that this fight is taken out of Las Vegas. He ain't fighting in Las Vegas. He ain't fighting on his Cinco de Mayo days. He ain't fighting on Mexican Independence Day. He's never fought. He's talking all this Latin stuff. He ain't ever fought nowhere in a Latin American country. But now he goes into a region where ain't no Mexicans down there, but there's other Latins out there. Some things aren't the same. And Canelo's a dude who's been given privilege when going into bouts, questionable decisions. But I think the sport of boxing may find it beneficial to have less of Canelo as being kind of the star that surrounds it, because there's a lot of new blood in there. There's a lot that Canelo's holding up that they need to move forward within that range of 160 up to 175. And all this favoritism crap that Mauricio has pulled for Canelo is about to backfire on Saturday, in my opinion. I think these judges, if this is a tight fight, I think these judges will probably be favoring Yildirim in rounds if he is to remain competitive, or unless he lands some old miraculous lucky punch on Canelo. But I just don't think Canelo is that guy who the world of boxing cherishes. When you look at his event at the same place where Errol Spence fought, Errol Spence outsold him. You don't hear too much about Canelo helping the zone out. The zone needed to use YouTubers to help push the needle forward for subscribers. The zone's using pay-per-view to try to get people to buy into Canelo. They can't afford to pay Canelo. There's a lot that just doesn't benefit anyone doing any of the dealings for Canelo. Oscar De La Hoya made Khan some judge to go against Canelo. There's a lot of stuff working against Canelo. As much as he think he's the face and that guy in the sport, he's just not that anymore. I mean, he's still a popular dude, still one of the relevant dudes, but I think with the corruption in this game at times, I think they're ready to do away with Canelo and starting to look elsewhere to develop the next stars. The next stars are coming from other places in the sport. And I think his time may come short Saturday.
Tone Brown out there says, the winner of this fights the winner of Benavidez and Ronald Ellis on March 13th to become the WBC mandatory at 168 for Canelo. Chicano Prophet says, Canelo gonna wreck this fool. And he says there's no saving Yildirim, R.I.P. And Skinny Kenny says, at Tone Brown, Benavidez will become Mando after winning, and in about 10 to 12 months, Canelo will become franchise, and Benavidez will be WBC champ again. Well, they do have it all mapped out one way or another, man. But yeah, this is, I tell you, boxing really is, when it's bad, it's really bad. When it's good, it's great. You know what I mean? But hey, man, what a great show, Reggie. We had great conversation, and salute to you for coming up with the topics of discussion for tonight's show, and being able to bring that, because I wanted you to be a part of it. You know, I wanted you to have some input this evening. So, you know, that's why I had asked that of you, and I'll be asking that of you more, you know, going forward, because it's like we do a great job together here, and I just want you to be a bigger part of that, you know. So that's what I wanted, you know, to have you have some input there, content-wise and whatnot. So, but go ahead and give us some final thoughts, man, and as we get ready to get on out of here.
Yes, sir, man. Thanks again. Another great show. Thanks for those in attendance. Thanks for tuning in and rock with us. Make sure y'all hit that like button as well. But we catch you guys next Friday and tomorrow for the post fight.
Yeah, and you guys be on the lookout for Reggie in the wee hours of the morning, because he said he's calling this fight with Fa and Parker. So be alert for that when he go live for that, because if I'm up, I'm definitely going to try to listen in as much as I can. And, you know, now that we know that it's definitely a Tongan and Samoan kind of a deal, this might be something that you don't want to miss. and because they fighting over there too, it might be some fights in the stands, right, Reggie? You don't know, man. It's like,
right?
These people might be getting it on over there, bro. So it'll be definitely worth checking out. So, yeah, we're going to get on out of here and let everybody get ready for the weekend of fights, man. And shout out to everybody that was out there in the chat. Those who catch it on replay, make sure you hit the like button, man. We cooking over here, and we're just bringing the best of what we have to talk about this wonderful sport that we love as boxing, man. It's like, this is what we do, and we ain't gonna stop. So, yeah, that's it for this evening. We're gonna get on up out of here. For my man Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens, this is Stormybman, and we gonna head on out. Catch you guys on the next one. Catch you on the post-fight show tomorrow night. And for those of you that catch me in the afternoon tomorrow, 1 p.m. Central, we got Blue Blood Sports TV Part 2 on In the Eye of the Storm. So we out of here. Peace, everybody. Have a great weekend. Enjoy those fights.